On the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there is having themselves a great day. The next Awakened News Update. We've got some new posts from Q. Got some great stuff that I want to share with everybody. One of the good ones, just starting right off here at the beginning, we've got a great little article, and all the links, of course, are below. And I'm not going to play this whole thing. This is 8 minutes long. But he talks about how Barr is disappointed by these bipartisan attacks leveled at Trump. And he says there's been a jihad against the hydroxychloroquine. And it is funny. It's, the hydroxychloroquine was being discussed with great promise, and it has a long track record. It's been used for many years. And so prior to Trump saying anything about it, saying that he liked it or didn't like it, all this, everybody loved it. And the second Trump comes out and says, hey, this is a great drug, there's a lot of potential for it, instantly, every single news media agency market comes out and says how he must be in bed with the drug companies, how it's not safe, how it's going to kill you, all these different scary things. The person that ate fish cleaner or fish food or fish tank cleaner that had hydroxychloroquine or something similar in it. So again, there's been this push that, one, anything that Orange Man says is bad. And again, I like Trump, don't like Trump. That's not even, from my standpoint, that's not even the issue. It's non-political. It's about the humanity versus the deep state or the dark or the evil, right? So there's like basically two ways to look at it. Trump just happens to be the dude that's in place that I think agreed to try to win us over or try to help make these changes go because he maybe had a clean enough background and et cetera, et cetera. But that being said, there was a lot of great information in here. It was what's her name? Laura Ingraham from Fox was interviewing him. And there was some good stuff in there. So if you guys want to check it out, it's a good 8-minute watch. They talked about all sorts of different areas, talked about the tracking that the Microsoft founder, Gates, had talked about, how they wanted to make everyone tested and then put some sort of ability to track you or an armband or whatever the heck. And Bill Barr talked about that, and he's like, yeah, that's not a good idea. So again, they cover a lot of cool little angles. They even got into abortion. So for those of you that kind of love that, he talks about opening gun shops versus keeping abortion clinics open and this whole thing. I kind of felt like it was sort of a loaded question. Again, not trying to get overly political. There's pro-choice people and there's anti-abortion people. You know what? I love you all, and that's not where I'm trying to get with this information. I think it's more important that we discuss what's actually going on, try to get this out there as informative as we can. And then from there, we can make decisions about what we want to do. So continuing on with this exact same post, difficult to imagine media, the D Party in bold and brackets, attempting to squash all hope of a cure. It's difficult to imagine the media, or Democratic Party, wanting public to remain in fear up until the election, right? Isn't it hard to imagine that they might try to take advantage of a situation like this for political gains? Well, some would say, yeah, some would say they're doing it, some no. It's hard to say, but it's difficult to imagine the media, Democratic Party, willing to sacrifice lives in order to regain power. Again, enemy of the people. This is why so many people are having an issue, and I don't want to say with Democrats, but with many key members in the Democratic Party, quite possibly a great number of them, in the Democratic Party, I think, are either A, maligned attempts at doing things to us, like they're trying to hurt humanity, or they're so bought and paid for and kind of trapped in that they only have one option to do, and that's to go against the people and work for the deep state. However it plays out, however the case is, I'm not saying Democrats are bad. What I'm saying is the people in power that are representing the Democrats are horrible and quite possibly evil. And again, not all of them, probably just 99% of them. Anyway, so that being said, so that was post 3918. 3919, how do you hide the truth? Example, create a website and label it fake. How do you hide the truth? Create a public trend regarding a term, conspiracy, to humiliate, typecast as mental crazy, loony, right? Give all these names to people. Anyone who opposes the narrative, isn't that what you do? Anyone who says, no, that's not true, and you're like, you're a loony, you're a nut, you're a racist, you're a this, you're a that, and you're instantly supposed to try to shut them down. How do you hide the truth? How do you control a majority of media to project and echo a controlled message regarding a desired topic? Now, to my understanding, there's some sort of communication that goes out. I don't think it's like from thedeepstate.com. I doubt that's how it plays out. But there are media emails that go out Back when I was in radio, there was the AP Newswire, right? And they always talked about you shouldn't rip and read. And that basically you'd walk up the AP and it'd just print out stories all day and you could tear off a story and actually go and read it on the air. Or you typically should rewrite it. But that's what they do. They control the message through all of these media channels. And by repeating something over and over and over, people just believe it. That's one thing that psychologically happens with individuals is the more you say something, the more they generally believe it. Now, unfortunately for them, there's a number of us right now that are currently communicating all of this crazy stuff that's going on and trying to communicate these Q posts and all the great work that these Anons are doing in the background. We are doing the same thing by repeating this message over and over and over to the populace, the awakened masses, that look at all this fakery, look at all this nonsense that's going on. That is how we're going to win this battle with the people. Now, I think there's already military things in place that are going to continue to work well and do a great job. But one of the concerns is those of us that are sitting on the sidelines going, when's this going to be done? Throwing popcorn into our mouth and everything else. But the fact is, this has to happen. This is military intelligence. This is military work. You don't tell the enemy, hey, FYI, we're going to bomb you tomorrow at about 2 o'clock. That's local time. That's not our time. Sorry, just want to make sure you know about 2 p.m. your time, we'll be bombing you. Like, you don't do that. You don't ever do that. You don't tell the enemy what you're doing. And in a lot of cases, when there's crazy stuff going on like there is right now, you let the enemies do whatever they're going to do, and you monitor the heck out of them. And when you do that, you tend to catch them in their stuff that they're doing. So they're trying to put a stop to a lot of these things. Now, one thing that's going to happen with all these little messages that they're sharing with everybody, they will come out and be proven false. And what that's doing is it's eroding away at the confidence people have in the regular media. So again, for those of us that are awakened already, we're frustrated, wish people would catch up. For those of us that haven't awakened, and they're maybe catching on to some of these newer shows, this is part of the process. And, you know, we're all awakening at our own pace. So try to be fair to people and give them a chance. Post 3920, what happens when state actors or assets are removed? How does a state actor gain leverage over a person in power regarding blackmail? Define traitor. Data exchanges can be very dangerous. So there's a lot of discussion out there. Basically what this is, and again, some of these posts are actually for the deep state to let them know, hey, we got your number. We know what's up. This is one of them, I'm almost sure. So they're talking about what happens when you remove some of these people from public, maybe. That might be part of it. How does that come across? What happens when you take certain plans out of place? Maybe there was going to be a mass event, and maybe the individual that was going to go and try to shoot up someplace or something, maybe they already got him, right? Because they saw the Facebook posts or something, right? He was already starting to do some of those things. And so maybe they got to him beforehand. Because again, we're paying attention right now to things that used to be ignored because again, the deep state wanted these bad things to happen. Now they don't. Now, well, the deep state still wants them to, but the patriots, as we're being labeled or labeling, they don't want it to happen. So they're not allowing it to happen. The second they find out anything, they're dealing with it and, you know, fixing the problem. So that is a very good thing. Post 3921, FISA indictments equals start. One of the big confusions that's really frustrating people right now is they want to know when this is going to start. When is this going to happen? When are mass arrests going to happen? When is this process going to happen? When's the storm going to happen? They're not going to announce it. He is basically right here, but they're not going to tell you when they're going to start it. Why? Because if they do, some sort of crazy event will happen, some sort of thing will happen that'll flood the news story so it gets buried, and they don't want it to happen that way. Two, if they let the deep state guess and try to figure out when it's going to come, they start using ammo in places that they don't know for sure if it's going to be released. So they use some ammo. You've only got so much ammo. There's only so many times that you can do crazy things, or you can get people to riot, or you can get someone to go out and shoot up a mall, or you can go. There's only so many things you can do before A, it just looks like it's happening all the time and it becomes obvious. And B, the coincidences behind some of these, right? Like the timing and the events that are occurring. It's like there's always a shooting and then immediately they come out with anti-gun bills. So it's one of those things. What they're saying is when the FISA indictments start, when those happen, when they come out and say these people are being indicted because of the crimes they committed against the country regarding the lies they made in these FISA orders, that will be the start of the storm. That is what you're waiting for in the news. They're not going to tell you when it's going to happen. Just kind of sit tight, sit on your hands. We're going to post and share with you whatever we can find out. But in the meantime, kind of understand, like they keep saying, enjoy the show, because there is a show going on for sure. All right. Post 3922. This one is Luke Goldberg. This one we can actually watch. And this is a fun little article here. This is very short. We'll go ahead and play this. It's 37 seconds. Again, this is part of Laura Ingram's interview, but this is good. Let's go ahead and play this.
Because I think what happened to him was one of the greatest travesties in American history. Without any basis, they started this investigation of his campaign. And even more concerning, actually, is what happened after the campaign, a whole pattern of events while he was president. To sabotage the presidency, and I think that, or at least had the effect of sabotaging the presidency.
More with Attorney General Barr tomorrow night, 10 p.m. Don't miss it. That's all
to be frustrated.
And yeah, it was very important to understand that there has been an intention that's never been seen before against the president of the United States. Now, he was voted in, supposedly voted in correctly, and I believe that. And yes, maybe the popular vote won by 3 million votes, but ultimately landslide victory by Electoral College, and that is how elections are decided. And Hillary apparently didn't think the rest of the country was important enough to go into those states and talk to everybody and try to be friendly. So here's where we're at, right? So again, we'll see what happens. But that was the interview there, and it's good stuff. Over here, hunters become the hunted. This is fantastic. So obviously this is kind of a playoff. I don't know, to me it looks a lot like the Hunt for Red October, but it's not, because there's no submarine in the background. But the hunt is on. It's still got that in red, right? And they always talk about rigged for red. That was why my most recent video I did had that kind of red title to it. Is it's the inside of a submarine when they go quiet, when they go dark. They rig for red. It helps your eyes adjust. So kind of that whole concept of being stealthy and being quiet and not letting anyone see what's going on. So this is the invisible enemy as they talk. There's another short video. We'll check this one out. But again, this one is really getting into the dates that are coming up, right? Compare and contrast. Very important. So let's give this a listen. Let's see what they've got to share with us.
But I want to say that I know that this is a challenging time for all Americans. We're enduring a great national trial, and we will prove that we can meet the moment. I want to assure the American people that we're doing everything we can each day to confront and ultimately defeat this horrible, invisible enemy. We're at war. In a true sense, we're at war, and we're fighting an invisible enemy. Think of that. So it cost me billions of dollars to be president, and I am so happy I did it. Because who cares? Who cares? I'm really happy with the job we're doing. And I'm glad that this team and me are here for this horrible thing. I mean, it's a number of people have said it, and I feel it, actually. I'm a wartime president. This is a war. This is a war, different kind of a war than we've ever had. But I'm a little upset with China, I'll be honest with you, because as much as I like President Xi and as much as I respect the country and admire the country. I have great admiration for the country, what they've done in a short period of time. Of course, our previous presidents allowed that to happen. You should say thank you very much to all of them. But they should have told us about this. And I did ask him whether or not we could send some people in. They didn't want that. Out of pride, I think really out of pride. They don't want us sending people into China to help them. You will see our economy skyrocket once this is over. I think it's going to skyrocket. It's a pent-up demand. It's a built-up demand. And I guess you really have to say who knows, but I think it's going to be a tremendous day when we win this war, and we will win the war. We want to win the war with as few, if you look at it, just deaths as possible.
Exactly. So there's a lot of key things that Trump is really trying to accomplish here. And making sure that we call a spade a spade. I mean, China, whether or not they got attacked by the deep state or it got unleashed there, whether or not President Xi is in the center of all this or not 100% sure. I do believe that blackmail is ultimately how the world has worked. And I believe most leaders are blackmailed by a number of things, or at least money, is sort of tied into it. So again, I'm not here necessarily to point fingers. There's a few people that I'm happy to point fingers at, Hillary, for example, but necessarily where this all plays out, I mean, again, everyone had Putin nailed to be a bad guy. I actually think he's working with us, like behind the scenes. I think Russia was one of the first to really kick the central bank out, and that's something that's happening in the U.S. right now. We've got the central bank as part of the Treasury. So again, major things are happening. It's a wartime situation. He's been able to declare a legitimate war, and Congress can't really fight it. And so because of that, he's got an abnormal number of powers that are at his fingertips. So let's see how things play out. Again, let's watch the show. Let's trust in the plan. And again, if everybody out there is saying something horrible about somebody, all the news agencies anyway, it kind of almost makes you think maybe he's actually going against everybody out there. Maybe he's actually going against the deep state, because obviously the deep state owns the propaganda machine. So, of course, propaganda machine is screaming about him. So it's kind of interesting how it plays out. 3924, where we go one, we go all. Very awesome phrase, WWG1, WGA. So, again, that's a very cool thing. It looks like almost like a Liberty Bell with the way the crack is in there. It's kind of funny, but I think it's just a reflection of some string or thing on the whatever boat that thing is sitting on. Anyway, kind of cool picture. Post 3925. Got the real Donald Trump status here on Twitter. So the Democrats and crooked Hillary paid for and provided a fake dossier with phony information gotten from foreign sources, pushed it to the corrupt media and dirty cops, and have now been caught. They spied on my campaign, then tried to cover it up, just like Watergate, but bigger. Remember, they're already pre-telling us when the indictments happen, it is on. Game on. So it's coming. We're close. It's going to happen here anytime, but we can't put a date on it. And anyone that's trying to put a date on it is speculating. It's going to come when it can. It's going to come at the exact perfect and right moment. Do people really believe the biggest scandal in modern U.S. history will go unpunished, scot-free? Scot-free and bold in brackets. And I'm not sure. Normally, bold in brackets has to do with kind of it's the target, if you will. And I'm not 100% sure. Scot-free is obviously without any punishment. It's kind of if you do something scot-free, no one ever notices you. You never get in trouble. So that's what it means. But I'm not sure why it's bold in brackets. And I tried to dig into it a little bit and didn't find anything. So something to keep in mind. We'll see. That will come back up at some point. Scot-free, especially the spelling of Scott being like it's, I don't know, S-C-O-T. Like there's not two T's. Like the name would be, right? So, and Scottish, I think they would have two T's as well, right? So I don't know. We'll see how that plays out. Patriots stand at the ready. Shills wine. That's one thing that was kind of brought up on the actual Coon, 8 Coon. By the way, woo, man, these people are brutal to each other. You get on there and you think, I mean, I haven't done it. I'm just saying, but if you get in there and just ask some sort of stupid question, you get people that just tear you apart. I was reading some of these things. I'm like, dang. So anywho, I am not planning on getting in there and chatting up a bunch. I'm not trying to change the world from that standpoint. I'm trying to inform people of what my perceptions are of what are happening and some of the great news that's coming out from Q and anything else I can come across. But the shills, the ones that are crying and whining right now, those are the ones to be mindful of and careful of for you guys out there. One, don't fight them. Don't waste your time with them. They're just trolls in most cases. And yes, for those of you that really want to know, I really want to know though, you're not going to find out. Stop it. You're not going to. Stop asking. Stop asking because you obviously don't understand this thing at all. If you're asking, when's it going to happen? When's it going to happen? When's it going to happen? You will never, ever know in advance, period. So understand anyone that's asking that, you seem like a shill. And I would be very careful if you're not a shill and you're asking those questions. Think inside maybe before the next time you ask those questions and understand that right now when you do that, you're coming across like someone that's either fighting it or someone that's actually a troll. And you're going to probably be met with some interesting experiences because of the way people will treat you or the way you will be perceived. So it's just something to consider for all of you out there that are curious like everybody else. There's nothing wrong with being curious, but you have to understand it's just not going to happen the way we all want it to. So the truth is right in front of you. This is very true. The Breitbart news here. So this is something that's kind of funny. People talked about this story a lot. What this is this is a video from Italy, and I'm not going to play the video. It's been played so much, been played to death, in fact. But this video in Italy shows the same pieces of equipment, all the same stuff, and it's been shown that this was New York, that this was Italy, that this was New Jersey. Like, they've said this is the ER room for a number of places. And what they've been caught doing is showing identical footage of Italy, which to date has been one of the worst kind of experiences. I mean, numbers-wise, New York is really bad, but Italy was really horrible, especially percentages. So that being said, they're playing the same footage and trying to act like this is in a number of different places. Now, one other thing, and I'm not sure how much of this is real or not real, but there's been a number of people, too, that have gone to local ERs or even local testing centers close to them and pointed out the fact that there's not nearly as many people that the news would talk about. Now, certainly in some of the harder hit areas, this is where some of these things have happened. Again, I don't know if I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen anyone that's gone to like one New York hospital or something and just shown, gazillions of people. So I haven't seen the other side of it, but I've definitely seen the videos that suggest it's maybe being blown out of proportion a little bit. Anywho, we'll see how that plays out. Where we go one, we go all. Woohoo! Always, always, always. Love it. And this one is just super cool, very short and sweet. And by the way, one of the funniest things that you'll notice right off the bat, at least this is what hit me, I just think it's funny, this dude's voice. So look at his face, right? It seems like a little kid. He apparently isn't, but he might be. Listen to his voice.
From Rwanda, where we go on, we go all.
Bam, like, yeah, that's his monster voice, right? The guy's got an awesome voice. Anyway, where we go one, we go all. Very, very cool. From Rwanda. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you being a part of this. That is fantastic. So there we go with that. Now, hopping into today, and I will do a refresh before we go any further, but today, this is where we go one, we go all. This was actually what I just showed. What the heck was this? The status? Maybe I didn't show this correctly. Let's take a look at what this might be. Oh, that was that. Okay. All right. I don't know why I had that twice, but whatever the case is. So 7.3. Yeah, same thing. So they just posted it multiple times? No, this is a different one. Let's see what this one is. Sorry. Kind of just on the fly. Oh, okay, there you go. Who can figure out the true meaning of covfefe? Enjoy. Well, this is all written in all sorts of stuff. But the world is at war with the hidden enemy. We will win. So hopefully some of you guys can read some of this. But look at that little QAnon and then don't even know what the heck that's going on. But yes, covfefe. That supposedly has to do with we will fly or we will rise, something like that. Anyways, I should know better, but I don't. Anywho, we will win. And finally, this last little portion over here, which ties into start. This is just the definition of the word start: to move suddenly or violently, to react with sudden, brief, involuntary movement, to issue sudden force, to come into being or activity or operation, to protrude or seem to protrude, so blah, 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 right? So there's a big one. Patriots, be cautious in your interpretations of the info posted. This is a message to all the Q people, to all the people that are doing videos, people such as myself. False expectations and push based on speculation will only weaponize those who attack us, the mainstream media. So every time people in our walks are like, hey, this is what's going to happen, and it doesn't happen, the mainstream media has more fodder for, fuel for their fire. They have more abilities to attack this movement, to attack this truth. I mean, they constantly are trying to say Q is fake, and wherever you are with that, it's up to you. That's your decision. I think there's been lots of proof of it, and they always talk about, future proves past, and that's very true. Why does the mainstream media expend resources daily attempting to discredit? Again, they've said it before. You don't discredit something that's not a threat, right? If it's not a threat, like flat earth theory, you don't see anyone coming out really and trying to shoot down the flat earth theory because it's kind of a ridiculous theory. Not to anyone's case out there. There's parts of it that I've gotten into that I can see why you believe what you believe. And I'm not going to sit here and try to debate why the earth is round. But that being said, it's one of those things that you don't need to disprove it per se because it's kind of not really a threat. It's not a threat to most people that think the world is round. So the same concept goes here. Q is a threat. What Q is doing is a threat. The fact that we are awakening on numbers that they can't comprehend, the fact that we're starting to unite around a common goal rather than arguing with each other and fighting with each other and hating each other, these things are changing. So, do you provide the playbook to the enemy with specific dates? No, you don't, ever. Logical thinking, folks. The FISA indictments equal start. Period. Period. Once the FISA indictments happen, that is the marker. We are all looking for and waiting for. That is the start, which is where this whole definition of start came from. Future proves past. The events unlock the past, right? The future is the key to unlock a lot of these past postings, and that's how a lot of this information is going to come. So think CEO departures, many of them have left. Think FBI departures, same case. DOJ departures, same case. State departures, again. The White House departures, DIA departures, Pentagon, Senate, House. Think AMB departures. I'm not sure what the AMB is. Think IG departures. Think judge install. We've installed so many judges. That's one thing that the Senate's been quietly very busy doing, is putting a lot of judges in all these district courts all over the place. Like an insane number of judges were needed and never dealt with by previous administrations. Think SC install. Think White House install. Think FBI install. Think C_A install. For those of you that don't know what that means, I can't say it out loud, but that's what we're talking about. Think DOJ install. Think US ATT install. Game theory. If you look, you can see. I love that. All you have to do is look, folks. There's a lot of information out there, and we'll see if there's anything fresh coming up. But there's a lot of great information out there. Oh, we got one more new one. Happy Good Friday. By the way, yeah, happy Good Friday to all of us. That's a fabulous thing. And let's see here. No collusion, no obstruction. Trump campaign ad features Joe Biden cheerleading for China. Look at that. Best buddies. Gotta love that. During Americans' crisis, Biden's protected China's feelings. It's very sweet. Biden, it's in our self-interest that China continue to prosper. Again, these are the people that were supposed to take over everything. They were supposed to take over the world. They were supposed to change the way things are for all of us, the futures that we experience. The 8-year plan was to completely remove and destroy this country. 4 years of that's been taken away from them and undone to a large extent. They so desperately need to get into office on this next term to get back to their finished 16-year plan. They are desperate, and they will stop at no measures to get this to happen. So again, Xi's probably not a good guy, but I don't like necessarily assuming that, but I know a lot of these people are all bought and paid for. Certainly Biden is. He's been given so much money, it's just absolutely disgusting. So that's where we're at as of now, 11:49 on April 10th. That's Pacific Daylight Time. Hopefully we can follow up with some more information. Again, remember, the indictments are the marker we are all looking for. Once those happen, once we get that going, you guys are going to be in a much, much better place. It's another version of the Awakened News Update. I want to thank you guys for joining us. If you like what you've heard, please subscribe. Please check the little bell icon and all those great things. I appreciate it. Links to all the stories below. Have a wonderful day. Be safe, be healthy, be happy, and God bless.